Hello and welcome back to the Ain't Dead Yet podcast. We're so excited to have everyone here today. Audience, thank you for joining us. We have a very special guest, Miss Emily Samuel. Emily is an entrepreneur. I would classify her as a fitness expert, and she's also a celebrity trainer. But she trains people other than just celebrities.
Oh, for sure.
Trains anyone who's really willing to do the work and looking for help. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we connected on social media a while back.
Yeah.
And I think, did you find me?
I think I found you. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I found you and I was just like, oh, another fitness dude with tattoos. Seems like we would vibe. And also I saw you were talking a lot about sobriety and I was like, yeah, seems like we would fit in the same circle. So
For sure.
yeah.
I think that's one of the really cool things about social media actually, is you can kind of see what someone's flavor is, if you will, before you engage with them.
For sure.
And it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like into the same thing, similar hobbies, sober.
Yep.
And I feel like that last one has probably like become one of the more important ones for me before I connect with certain individuals.
Totally.
Because if I have like fitness or if I have tattoos in common with someone, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to vibe at all.
For sure.
But the sobriety piece gives a pretty deep connection, I feel like.
Yeah. I think the sobriety thing, it comes down to like morals are aligned. You know what I mean? And I think that's at the end of the day, like how people maintain friendships is having like same morals or aligned morals. So yeah.
100%. No, I totally agree. So just so we can get the audience comfortable with who you are, a little bit of your story before we dive into some of the weeds, can you kick us off? Let us know kind of like where you're from, a little bit about your childhood.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm from Long Island, New York. I was adopted by a very, very nice family. I was adopted out of Georgia, and I did not find my family until later in life, which is something really interesting we can talk about later. But yeah, so I think I struggled a lot with the adoption thing, and I buried myself in drugs, and I didn't like myself and hated myself, actually, I think is better. When I went to college, I realized that I had a super bad eating disorder. So I came home to get help. As much as I love my family, they're not the best with dealing with issues. So they got me a puppy thinking that was the answer to my eating disorder and helping me and everything. And I was just like, nope, I'm going to start burying myself even more. It's when I picked up Xanax and all those other fun drugs and eventually got myself in trouble. I was driving with a lot of cocaine in the car and I got pulled over and I was arrested. And very long story short, I ended up doing a month in jail, even though my parents are attorneys and my uncle was like this district attorney at the time. Like they did whatever they could to get me out of trouble. And like the best thing that I got was a drug court program, which was a huge blessing, considering of how much, I was caught with. So I did a drug court program for a full year and decided that faking my drug test would be a really good idea because I wasn't ready to get sober. I got caught faking my drug test, and then that's when they actually like put me in jail and I sat there for like a good month. That was real fun, just like summer camp. And I left jail once that happened. I was like, all right, I'm going to never go back there. I'm going to stay in my sobriety path. And I actually did my rehab. I did my intensive outpatient and then dropped down to my regular outpatient and completed the whole process, did my AA meetings, and kind of never looked back. I became addicted to work and the gym. I actually have not released this information, but I was under house arrest. This is something I've never shared with anyone before because it's so embarrassing, but I was under house arrest and basically like the only place I could go was the gym. And that's how I got addicted to working out and just working and keeping myself busy. Because when I'm busy, I stay out of trouble. Yeah. And when I'm starting to like how I look and like how I feel, it's easier for me to face feelings instead of just burying myself in Xanax, obviously. So the gym definitely saved my life. Got addicted to work. I became the founding trainer of this gym called Dog Pound in New York City, and it ended up doing really well. We expanded out to Los Angeles, moved out to Los Angeles, and then had a really bad home invasion happen where 2 men broke into my house and held me up with guns and everything, and like the whole experience. Yeah, I got robbed, and I was like, I'm out of here, and moved to Texas, and that's how I got here. Nice. So that's my life story, basically, in a tiny little thing.
That's There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's incredible though, because I think that's actually a really good way to start an episode.
Yeah.
Because I think the biggest thing people need to understand when they watch the show or listen to the show is your life journey can seem like it's in the craziest of places, and then it can turn out so beautiful.
Yeah, totally.
And I think it's just a good reminder for people if they're in one of those places and they feel stuck or they're confused or they're upset or they're depressed or they're anxious or whatever, that it's okay. Like there's a way out. There's a path forward. So I kind of like that you kicked it off that way. To dive back into the childhood piece. So where were you from in Georgia, by the way?
The middle of nowhere, some trailer park. I'm not really too sure. When I tell you I was poor, like you can't imagine how poor. My dad was in and out of jail. My biological mom, I found out later in life, is like mentally challenged. And so is my sister, who's 2 years younger than I am. So out of the 3 kids, I was the only one put up for adoption, actually. They kept the other 2.
Oh.
Which is interesting. But I'm really close with my brother, which is great. He's like the best thing that kind of came out of this situation. But yeah, so adopted out of Georgia by these really nice Jewish people in New York. And they gave me everything I ever wanted. Grew up a spoiled brat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what age did you get to New York though?
I was a baby. It was
like
pretty much planned. Yeah,
early
like
on.
my grandma knew that like my parents could not keep me because, like I said, my dad was in and out of jail. My mom did not have the mental capacity to keep me.
Right.
My dad already had my brother. My mom didn't have any other kids, just my dad. So he kept him. He was 14 when they gave me away. So he tried to find me for a really long time because it like messed him up giving me away, and he couldn't find me because he didn't have the resources to. Like I said, like. They don't own computers. Like when I tell you poor, like you cannot imagine how poor. So I truly think that I'm like the luckiest girl in the whole wide world. And I think growing up, it was much more like, oh my God, poor me. Like no one wanted me. I was adopted. Like boo-hoo. But looking back at that situation, it's like, holy crap, I got so lucky because I would have ended up in the world's worst situation you could have imagined. And I just can't believe that I was, the one that got taken out of that situation. And my other brothers and, my brother and my sister didn't. So I just feel I was so blessed. So kind of having that perspective change also just gave me like a lot of closure, like emotional closure, I think. Instead of feeling like I'm not wanted, it's more like, how grateful am I? And I think sobriety kind of connects with like the whole attitude of gratitude thing. And for a long time, I didn't take advantage of that tool.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I think that's where the first like big connection for me came.
Yeah.
Was once I got sober and started doing some of the work, some of the step work, and understanding how blessed I really was.
Yep.
1, to be alive.
Yep.
Like start there.
Yep.
And then 2, like given some of the circumstances and how things went down, to be able to even sit here today and have this conversation, to me, is a massive blessing. So I think I'm with you. We're definitely in alignment there. What's one of your earliest childhood memories in New York?
Oh man. It's probably not good. Like just a lot of fighting in my household growing up. Like, yeah, my parents did the best they could, but I just myself had a lot of issues. So it's just a lot of fighting. I don't correlate Long Island's with things that are good. I haven't been home to Long Island in years. If I do go, it's for a couple hours. Like, you don't understand, I flew from California to New York for my cousin's kid's birthday, and I flew back the same day because I was like, I can't stay here. I don't care if it's across country. I don't care. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I just, I don't think of Long Island too happy, but New York City, that's something different. That's awesome. Those are a lot of good memories there. So
yeah, and right before we started, we hit record. I was telling you, I have, sorry, Mom, but I had one experience in New York City, Manhattan. I flew up there for a work trip, and I told one of the people I worked with that I'd never been to the city. And they were like, well, we have to go to the city. We have to take you into the city, and I got to show you around. And long story short, wild experience, didn't end too well, ended up missing my flight the next day, whole 9. But looking back on it now, I'm glad I got to go see some of the things that I did. I feel like it's a place that I avoided for a long time because I grew up in like a small town in the country.
Wow, opposite,
like, yeah. It was like, oh no, like I don't want anything to do with that.
Wow.
And so I'm glad I went and I experienced it. I'd like to go experience it now, the city, in sobriety.
Yeah.
Just to be able to like really take it in. But I got to do, I mean, there's pictures of it. I don't remember a lot of it, but there's pictures of like me in Times Square.
There's evidence.
Yeah, me in Freedom Tower. Like I did it all. We just weren't all the way there. But yeah, so I think that it was a good experience though. So to table that portion, I want to kind of dive right into, you'd mentioned like drugs, alcohol, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
What age did that pop up for you, like the first time?
High school. I grew up in a very wealthy area, and I think like these parents had so much money. These kids like if the parents were going away for a work trip, they would leave the kids like $300 for the weekend. Like, you know, like we would just spend it on drugs and alcohol. You know what I mean? And like be like, all right, thanks. You know what I mean? So sorry, my ADD kicked in so hard and just raged. So I think around 10th grade is when I started smoking weed. And then pills, Xanax started coming in senior year. That's when Xanax started coming in because I just loved feeling numb. I loved just not feeling anything at all. It was so much better than just walking around with like anger and resentment. So yeah. Probably.
What would you, if you don't mind me asking, I've never taken a Xanax, which blows my mind, given the copious amounts of cocaine that I used. Because everyone would be like, that's how you come down. Yeah. That's how you get rest.
Yeah.
And I would be the one that would just like be watching the ceiling fan, not sleeping. But given your experience with it, how would you describe what it feels like, if you don't mind me asking? I know you said numb, but like what's the...
Literally, that's the best way to put it. It's like the things that were bothering you don't care about anything. Like if someone accidentally hits you with their car, you would get out and try to fight them. Like you just there's zero consequences like to anything. You think you're Superman, and any kind of ever meet that kid at the party that you can just tell once they start drinking, like their true self like comes out, and you can just tell that they're just like letting out like all this like anger, and like they have so much shit. That's basically what Xanax does, is it brings all that up and all that out. And if you drink on it, you black out 10 out of 10 times. I promise you, there are months of my life that I don't remember. It's wild, but that's what I wanted. I didn't want to remember anything. I didn't want to think about anything. I just wanted to be numb and blacked out at all times, because that was 10 times better, in my opinion, than sitting in my feelings and my thoughts, because I couldn't handle it. I just like I said, I hated myself. I hated my life. I felt like I didn't fit in. I was adopted into this family that wanted me to be like them, and I was nothing close to them. It was just so much pressure. And I mean, like I said, my mom's a lawyer. She wanted me to be like a doctor or a lawyer. And biologically, came out of someone who's mentally like slow, like a 12-year-old. You know what I mean? So the pressure of them expecting me to like make their goals, it was too much. And I just never felt like I was good enough for anyone. And that actually translated into like relationships with men too. I have dated the worst men you can possibly imagine, because I had no self-worth, and I would have just done anything it took for them to like show love to me. You know what I mean? Not even have to actually love me, just show me it. You know, fake it. Like I don't even care, just fake it. Like, so it was sad that I was just so lost and like hated myself for so long. But
yeah, I want to dive into the relationship thing in a little bit, because I think that so many people need to hear that. But before we do that, so Xanax, drinking, high school, got it. When was the first time you were like, oh, this might be an issue?
I never thought it was an issue.
Okay, it never came.
No, I thought I thought everyone was like, oh, people are like worse than I am. I'm not that bad.
Yeah.
And it was always that, and it wasn't an issue. I realized I wanted to change when I caught when I was faking the drug test and I got caught doing that. I remember them taking me from the courthouse and bringing me back into like the where they take you to like transport you to jail. Like it's like a holding cell basically. And I've always had really severe anxiety, but I would never categorize myself as like depressed. But that was the first time when I got back into that cell, I like looked around for anything possible to kill myself with. And that was the first time I ever was like, I'm doing it. I don't care if I find something. It is 110% happening. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to try. I will succeed. So thankfully, there was nothing in there. Nothing at all. I tried, trust me, looked for anything I could, asked the people there, I was like, what do you have? Do you have anything? They didn't have anything. So I think that's when I was like, I want to change. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to be a loser. And that's really what it was. All my friends were enjoying college, and I was sitting in a jail cell. And my family was telling people I was on a wellness retreat.
Yeah. I think, well, to that point right there, so I can relate to that last thing you just said.
Yeah.
I think my mom's side, at least my mom in general, she's always been maybe not completely forthcoming about where I was at in my journey, but like she didn't lie either. Yeah. My dad's side of the family was a little bit different. Like they were very image based. Like they had to uphold a certain image. So none of the truth really ever came out. And I think that that's a big part of what happened to my dad.
Okay.
And like why he ended up overdosing and passing away, because I feel like he always felt like he had to show up as something other than himself. Mm-hmm. And in reflection now, like moving into my 30s and hopefully, fatherhood one day and all these things, like I want to create an environment where my kids, one, understand that they're loved, but two, they have a deep understanding that you are who you are, and the best thing you can do is own that, and that includes the flaws, and understand that you can make those things better. But so running from them in any form or fashion,
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. Nothing's going to get better. So, but I can connect with that last piece. It had to be difficult for you too, though, to what you said a minute ago, kind of transitioning families, coming from a certain dynamic into a dynamic that was honestly the complete opposite.
Polar opposite, yeah.
That, and even though you were an infant, like that still had, like, as you grew up, you still understood where you come from.
I knew I didn't fit in. I knew it. I was very free-spirited. I wasn't like my cousins. I just always marched to beat my own drum. If my whole family was going on a ski trip, I wanted to be the one that snowboarded. If my whole family was doing this, I wanted to do something different. Like I just always felt different, and I never felt like I was good enough to fit in with them because they were a little bit more like prestigious and like whatever. And I always kind of felt like not trailer park trash, because like I didn't even know where I came from, but I knew I didn't belong with them, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like I could fake it. I could easily fake it. I can smile. I can shake hands. I can put on a good face. I know how to use big words when I need to in order to fake it. But at the end of the day, like I was miserable. Yeah. Miserable trying to fit into a mold that I just didn't belong to. And once I finally understood where I actually came from and like why I'm so free-spirited, like my biological dad also passed away from an overdose, and he was in and out of jail, and I was always just like marching to be my own drum. And like my brother tells me now, he's like, you are so much like our dad. And it's funny because it's not like he ever raised me a day in his life, but it's still in me somehow. So yeah, you're right. You're totally right. Yeah, it's hard to show up as something that people want you to be, and you're just not that. It's really, really hard. So yeah, it just makes you feel like you're never enough, It
does. And I think that even more so in your story than mine, I can't complain too much about my childhood. Like my mom was awesome. Like she's a rock star. She's still a rock star. She was great. Gave me everything I needed, right? And loved me the best way she could. Mm-hmm. And so I have no complaints there, but I can totally empathize when you talk about feeling completely out of place. Mm-hmm. And it makes total sense why alcohol or Xanax or whatever would be like, oh, thank God. Like this relief of like, I don't have to feel that 24/7. I don't have to show up as anything other than myself. It was probably like one of your, and like, correct me if I'm misspeaking here, but like one of your first experiences of like freedom, if you will, even though you weren't free because of drugs, but totally, but almost like an experience of like, oh, I can set down this guard.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that really happened for me too, is when I did things my own way, like becoming a trainer, because my parents thought I was crazy. I was working for basically like Lady Gaga's publicist, and I was traveling all the time, going everywhere with them. Like it was a crazy lifestyle. I was miserable, and I was so close to relapsing. And I called my mom, and I was like, I don't care how cool you sound to your friends telling them that I'm doing this. I'm over it. I'm done. And they said basically like, if you do this, we will not financially support you. You will fall on your face, and you're gonna have to pick yourself up again. And I'm like, bring it. So quit my job because it was insane. Went home, and my uncle was not doing well. He passed away of a brain tumor, and I like really respect this man. He's the one that got me out of all the trouble. Like he's my hero. And I remember him saying to me, if you do what you love, you'll never feel like you're working a day in your life. And that's the moment I decided I wanted to become a trainer. I was like, I don't care about the money. I don't care if I'm making $4 an hour at Equinox. I don't care if I'm making $20 an hour at Equinox. I want to do something where I can go to sleep at night knowing that I'm helping someone else and giving back. And because I never want another girl or anyone else, a man, to feel the way that I did about my body and how much I hated myself. I never wanted anyone to feel like that. And I remember that the high that fitness gave me, basically, and I wanted to give that to other people because it didn't only help me obviously physically, but emotionally so much. And I just wanted to give that back to other people, I think. And that's kind of where that fell into place. And then my parents did not support it at all. They were like, the first 2 years that I did it, they weren't happy. Once I started working at Dog Pound and once I started coming out in a bunch of articles and a lot of press releases, that's when the tune changed. And that's when they were like, oh shit, she did it. She actually did it. She not only became a trainer, became a very good one because she followed what she did. And when I became a trainer, I didn't know what fitness influencing was. Like, that was never a thought of mine. Like, everyone now is like, oh, I want to be a fitness influencer. I did this 10 years ago where it's like the only fitness influencer I had to look up to was like Kayla Itziens. Like, it wasn't cool back then. If you were doing it, you were getting made fun of. And I was like, screw it. I'm going to do this fitness influencing thing. And I didn't even try. I just wanted to give free workouts to people online. So like people like that are in the middle of nowhere that have no access to a gym can also work out and feel good and move their bodies. And that's why I post things with limited equipment in case you don't have a gym. So yeah, that's really how that all ties in together.
Yeah. No, there's a lot there, but I think it's all extremely relevant. You said something earlier too that I want to talk about, that you became addicted to fitness.
For sure.
And I've had people ask me is around that topic specifically, like, don't you think you just replaced your drinking and your drug use with fitness? That's my response.
So what?
I'm like, well, which one's harming society?
Yeah.
Which one's not? Which one's harming my family?
Yeah.
Which one's not?
Totally.
And I think that for me, I have no problem owning that either.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I love doing it. It makes me feel good.
Yep.
I want to continue doing it.
Yep.
I'm not harming anyone. I don't want to kill myself today.
Totally.
Like,
totally.
And I think that what I've learned is a lot of times it's just a projection of their own insecurities because one,
they don't have the discipline for it either.
Right. They might not even have an addiction to drugs or alcohol, but they still don't work out.
Yep.
So it's like, let me just project all of this insecurity all over you.
Totally.
And it's like, well, maybe you should just get addicted to fitness.
So here's my philosophy on this. This is my big revelation. I think that being an addict is actually a superpower.
Yeah.
It is a crazy gift that you were given from God, believe it or not, but you have a choice. You can use it for good or you can use it for evil.
Yep.
I am a business owner. I swear to God, every employee that I hire will be someone that's a former addict because they have a work ethic like no other.
Yep.
They are the only people that I know that can get up in the morning, $0 in their bank account, figure out how to make $100 that day and get all their drugs they want and do the same thing every single day.
Yep. It's a different hustle.
It's a different mindset. It's a different hustle. It's like you need to do this in order to breathe. And that's the type of mindset that I like. I like people that are 100 or 0.
Yep.
People that float around in that like 50%, cool, love that balance. That's great for you. Maybe, that's fine. But if you want to hit that 1%, if you want to be like in that 1% category, you have to work harder than everyone else. And
you have to do more.
You have to just do more. You have to do more.
And I agree with you. And that's actually written on my whiteboard in my gym. And,
wow.
and I talked about it on an episode actually like last week, I think. But my greatest gift is my ability to be addicted to things.
Yep.
And again, that sounds so crazy, but it's
true.
The complete truth.
Yeah.
And similar to you, what I'm finding, not just in business, but in friendships, in relationships, in all of these things, for me, what works best if I want someone in my life who gives everything toward whatever purpose they're pursuing, you can pretty much bet the bank on if they're an addict, they're going to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that for me, as I've grown deeper into it, because I remember when I first got sober, it was kind of like, I want to get away from it.
Yeah.
And now, as more time has went on, it's kind of like, well, get closer to it because like those are still my people. Mm-hmm. Even people active in their addiction today, I feel closer to than people who don't have an addiction who are 50%ers.
Yeah.
I still feel closer to the guy doing dope.
Totally.
And I think it's because like you can't help but respect kind of what they're going through and what they're doing in order to feed their habit.
Yeah.
And along those lines, the same thing applies in fitness. people are like, well, why wasn't 1 mile enough? Why wasn't 2 miles enough? Why wasn't 3 miles enough? Why'd you run 400 miles?
Why do you
want to
be the same person every day?
Right. I want
Don't
more.
you want to be better every single day?
Want more.
I'm obsessed with growth. And I think a lot of people who are addicts become obsessed with growth too.
Yeah.
Especially once they start seeing their lives going on like a better projection. They're like, oh,
yeah, let's
keep going. Yeah,
Game
this
on.
is dope. Yeah. So now it's a new thing to be addicted to. So that's why I truly think like you could use your superpower to be a complete shitbag and like steal from people and like do whatever you got to do. Or you can use your superpower to like be a CEO, entrepreneur, businessman, like making millions of dollars. Do you know how many entrepreneurs are actually previous addicts?
Yeah.
It's
tons.
insane. Insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
What's crazy about it to me though is the amount of service you're able to give.
Yeah.
Once you get yourself to a place.
Totally.
And it might like that doesn't necessarily mean like strictly financial things. It could mean someone like there could be, I'm sure there's a girl somewhere that's following you on Instagram that's struggling, that understands like she could be you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
right?
That inspiration. Yeah.
And like people draw from that and like that changes lives.
Mm-hmm.
It took one person, like my faith was a big reason I got sober. I would never disclaim that. But the first thing that that attracted me, I guess, was David Goggins.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I love that mindset.
I'm like reading his book and I'm like, oh, okay. Like you got to run till your feet break. Like this was all like, it was crazy, but it made total sense to me. And I remember probably, I guess it was about 6 months into sobriety, I'd been running and it was the same thing. Like I ran a mile the first day and then I was like, okay, I need to either get faster or do more tomorrow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How do I get there?
It's all about doing more. Yeah, totally.
And it just kept steamrolling. And I did his challenge that March and then I did an Ironman 6 months later. And everyone's like, well, you should do a half Ironman first. And I'm like, what the fuck for?
No, it's a half-ass thing.
Yeah.
Go
do
hard
the
or go
whole
home.
thing.
Yeah.
And I sold my bike a week later. I'm like, good, like next, right?
Yeah.
That's true addict.
Yeah, for
behavior.
Sure. For sure.
Right?
Spot on.
And everyone's like, well, just do another one. You can improve here, improve. I'm like, no, I already did that. Like we need to go somewhere else. And so, but I think fitness for me was also one of the greatest gifts. And I can tell, like, if I get away from it and I get kind of in a different groove, whether that's something professionally or if I'm in a relationship that pulls me away from it or anything like that, I start to turn into like not a person I love anymore.
Yeah, totally.
And it starts with how I see myself.
For sure. Yeah.
Right? It's like, if I don't, this sounds crazy and people, like, I've talked to a therapist about it, so it is what it is. But if I don't work out or move my body, it doesn't have to be anything strenuous or insane, but if I don't move my body every single day, there's something about the way that I feel about myself when I look in the mirror that feels like shit. And I'm just like, man, I could have at least like went for a walk.
I think it's almost the instant gratification of what that workout does after and the feeling after. So when we don't get that, we're like disappointed. We're like,
it's like
why didn't I get that high today? Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to put it. Like, why didn't I get that high today? Yeah. Perfect way to say it.
Fitness withdrawals.
Yep, literally fitness withdrawals. And I have so many clients that are like that too. And it's funny, my most successful clients, like I train a lot of very, very successful, a group of women that are insanely successful, wealthy out the butt, insane, traveling for life. And those are my most consistent clients. It's insane. The ones that have the nannies at home that are just chilling in their comfort zone, those are the ones making the excuses. Mm-hmm. My very like CEO women that are traveling, they will find a way to make it work because they have that discipline. And like, it's almost like, that's why I think being an addict is a gift because it almost gives you an advantage
for sure
over other people that like
for sure
don't have that drive. You know what I mean? Yep. It's like being on a permanent Adderall almost. Like you're like, I got this, you know?
100%. We talked about this last week too on an episode, but there's some of the new popular content on Instagram is people talking about like, it's okay. Like you don't have to like, not everyone has time to work out for an hour. And I'm like, that's bullshit.
Yeah, get up earlier.
It's just a lie.
Yeah.
It's just a lie that they're feeding people to make themselves feel better about not being disciplined.
Totally.
And then other people are hearing that and they're like, oh, I guess it is okay. Like, let me stay in today.
Yeah.
I can wake up in the morning and right now it's like 3:45 is like my groove.
Nice.
But I'll wake up and I go spend 15 minutes with my dog.
Oh.
That's like a non-negotiable for me. He sleeps in the guest room. He has his own bed. And it's the bed that he grew up in. So like he feels attached to it. But I will wake up, go lay with him for 15 minutes to remind me like he was there with me through it all. He was there pre-sobriety.
Yeah.
And so like that's my guy.
It's your baby, I get it.
Yeah, that's
I
my
get
guy.
it.
Like he's there. So I make sure he knows every single day, like, Dad loves
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll lay there, and there's days where my feet are so swollen, my legs hurt, my knees hurt, my hips hurt, my back hurts, my shoulder hurts, whatever it is. And I'm like, doesn't matter. Like, I know all I have to do is get out the door. That's all I have to do. God's going to take care of the rest.
Yep.
Right?
So true.
That's how I look at it, and that's how I've approached it, and that's what's gotten me here.
Nice.
But if I would have laid there, like, you're not going to.
No, you're not going to.
It's not going to happen.
Yep.
And that's what I want to tell people. Like, yes, it is okay to take a day off, sure. But understand, when you take that day off, you are missing a day of progress. No matter how you want to look at it. People will say, well, like, sometimes a day back gives you 2 days forward. I don't live that way. I feel like if I take a day off, I've lost a day.
I think if you want to take a day off, you shouldn't. You should just take it down a notch instead.
Yeah.
Like, do modified movement. Like, when like my clients, like when they're off days, I'm like, go walk on an incline on the treadmill for 30 minutes. Something.
Yes.
Something. Move. And like, I get it. Like, you know, these people have babies, like blah, blah, blah. Like I said, you know, it's really how much of a priority you make it. We have to remember, though, and it was hard for me in the beginning because I used to take it personally, not everyone is going to be as obsessed with fitness and take it as seriously as us, because like we have normies, you know what I mean, that are just like living their daily lives, you know what I mean? And I think in the beginning I used to be like, well, like, why are you taking, like, I used to take it personally, you know what I mean? Like, why are you wasting my time if I'm writing a program for you, you're not doing it? I used to take it personally. Now I'm just like, it is what it is. As long as these people left my session feeling better than they showed up, I did my job. You know what I mean? So I think that people like us, like the more addict mentality, I think that it's almost 10 times easier, like I said, for us to be so disciplined. And I do think that it is harder for people that don't have that addict mentality to like get up and do it. So they're just much more inclined to excuses. But that's why I'm understanding of it. I'm much more understanding of it because I understand how different people think. So I'm not too hard on them if they're like, oh, I want to take a day off. I'm like, that's cool. Just walk around the block. Like, do something. Take a meeting from like your phone and just walk. I don't care. Just do something to sweat. Like, move your body. Get outside. Be in the sun. Something. You know. So
that's actually a great way. You said sweat. I think that's a great way to like establish movement.
Yeah.
Just sweat.
Sweat a little bit.
Just sweat a little bit. To me, that's like all the bad leaving the body.
Yeah, totally.
Like a little bit of sin.
Yeah,
you know.
Say that all the time. Yeah. Sweat out your sins. I say that all the time.
Sins. Yeah, and it's humbling.
Yeah.
I think we're designed to sweat. Like, I think that is important, not just from like
the detox perspective. Yeah.
Right. But it's like we need that.
Totally.
And like the biggest off day for me, if you will, is like sauna and plunge.
Yeah. Recovery day.
Right.
But you're still working on yourself.
I'm working on myself. And the plunge specifically is good for me because it's like, I don't want to do it. Right? I don't want to do it.
Of course, yeah.
It's the same as like going out the door for a run.
Yeah.
I love to go lift weights.
Yeah, me too.
So like I'll lift weights, but it doesn't do the same thing for me as doing something I don't want to do.
That's true, yeah.
And I think that's probably been the biggest thing for me to try to figure out how to balance is like doing the things I know I need to do and doing the things that I want to do. And I think that trying to figure out that balance has been tough because as an addict, and that mentality is like, well, if I just do all the things that I need to do and never do anything that I want to do, like I'm gonna reach this pinnacle a lot faster.
It's an easy answer.
Yeah.
Wake up. Are you comfortable?
Yeah.
If you're comfortable, you're not. Yeah. You're not doing enough.
Right. I know.
Period.
And people,
you're not doing enough of the things that like you don't want to do.
People hate hearing that, but
it's true.
It's the truth.
That's how you grow.
Yeah. Intention.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't get sober because I was comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, shit sucks. Like,
yeah. If I'd have been comfortable, like I'd probably have hung out there for a little bit longer.
Yeah,
you know?
Totally.
It needed to get to a point where it was like make or break. Like you decide this is the moment, figure it out. I think fitness was like that for me too, because the day I got sober, I looked in the mirror. So this was like a crazy thing for me. I've always had body image issues my entire life. I was always the husky kid. Like I was the one that was a little bit portly, like walking around with buddies.
Which is funny because I'm so attracted to that.
Yeah.
Like there's so many girls that are like, I like them like sucks, like more. No, I've always like That's why I don't. It's funny. Like you always like want the grass is green on the other side type of thing. So it's funny that you say that. Like that you wanted to.
I wanted to look like
huskier.
my buddies. I wanted to look like my buddies.
Yeah. See?
And I think that insecurity probably did more than like what my body looked like as far as like pushing away the women. Like I remember high school, I didn't get no love.
Oh.
You know what I mean? All my buddies did. Out the door, right? And I'm just like, well, it's because I'm the husky kid. I was also drinking a lot then, so that probably didn't help my situation. But then I got to college, and there was some attention that came with that status of playing ball, and my body changed.
Yeah.
Like it started to like fill out in a different way, and that's when the attention kind of started. But from 22 to 30, I gained 100 pounds.
Wow.
Like the college body was long gone.
Yeah.
And I remember looking in that mirror and being like, oh my God. Like,
how did you think you got there?
To that weight?
Yeah.
I think the biggest contributor was I could only drink and do drugs 3 to 4 days a week to deal with my emotional situation.
Okay.
Which was usually like Friday through Monday, Thursday through Sunday. But Monday, I had to detox every single week.
For football or for?
For work.
Okay.
And so I had to. Are you asking how did I get to 312 pounds?
Yeah.
Like so it's because I emotionally ate Monday through Friday.
Gotcha.
Because I couldn't drink or do drugs.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
So I just ate like my daily consumption, like at the end, when I was in Atlanta, I woke up every morning. I stopped at Einstein Bagels on the way to work. I had 2 blueberry bagels with honey almond spread and 2 iced lattes. I'd get to work. I would order Chick-fil-A with Uber Eats.
You sicko.
Yeah, for breakfast. Like this is my breakfast.
Sicko.
Lunch is like Chipotle. I would stop on the way home and get Arby's, 2 beef and cheddars and a Jamocha milkshake. And then I would get like hibachi that night.
Oh, you sicko.
It was like 6,000-7,000 calories a day.
I was just going to say how many calories.
So that's how I did it.
Holy moly. Gotcha.
That's how I did it.
Gotcha.
And so losing weight at first was super simple because I was like, oh, like, and it was, you know what was crazy? It became so much easier to be disciplined and lose weight once I started working a program because I started processing all of the things that were creating like this instability and this pain.
Right.
Once I started processing those things out, I didn't need to eat to feel better.
100%.
The same amount.
Right.
And so that made a big difference for me, but I lost the weight quick because of it was, again, like something to be addicted to. Like it was like every meal matters, every workout matters, my sleep matters.
It was like it becomes your personality almost. You know what I mean?
It did.
Yeah.
And I think it annoyed a lot of people if I'm being completely real about it. Like I didn't care though. I still don't care.
But why? But like, why would it annoy anyone? That's just like their own shit. Yeah, for sure. Their own shit.
And I think that, you know, looking back on it now though, like what's incredible to me is when you walk around in public and like based on where you live. So like if you were to go back to BFE in Georgia.
Okay.
And you walk around, all you see is unhappiness. People don't like hearing that, but that's what you see.
So true. And chaos and just drama.
Yep.
Just drama. It's
everywhere.
insane.
It's everywhere. You go walk around downtown Austin, it's a different animal.
Totally.
Like everyone has hard days for sure, but everyone's healthy.
Yeah.
Like I think that it's so important to live in a place. And if you're listening or watching, like figure this part out. If you're in a place where like you look around and everyone looks unhappy and unhealthy, figure out a way to just go somewhere where that's not the case.
I couldn't agree with that more because you're a product of your environment.
Your life will change.
When you hang out with shitbags, you're going to be a shitbag. If you hang out with losers, you're going to be a loser. Hang out with millionaires. Guess what? You're going to be a millionaire.
Yep. That's how it transitions.
I swear to you. And because I also didn't, I'm not the brightest. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not the brightest, but I'm the hardest working one in the room. Mm-hmm. And I think when I started like starting my own businesses, it was because I was training these CEOs and entrepreneurs, and I would just sit there like a sponge, and anything they would say, I would absorb it like crazy. I was like, how do I do it? What's the secret? How do I do it? No YouTube, no article, no nothing can teach me what these people have taught me. And it's because they did it out of their own personal experience. And if you just also connect with others and just like listen to other people's story, it's amazing because relationships are literally everything. So if you surround yourself with good people, with healthy relationships and just clear mind and like aligned views, that's everything. You know what? Also, I was thinking about, sorry,
You're good.
A little bit everywhere. I was thinking about this earlier. if you feel like if you're talking to a friend, and if you feel like you're bragging, talking about something just like normal to you, you need to up your circle.
Yep.
I'm sorry, that's horrible to say,
Right.
but you need to surround yourself with more people that are going to push you forward, not people that you have to like dim your light for. If that makes sense, you know, because you want to be able to talk about the good things that are going on in your life, but if you feel like you can't say it because it's making them feel bad or it's going to make them feel some type, you gotta up your stakes and hang around more successful people, because I promise you all they are going to do is push you further and give you ideas and inspiration to be better. So couldn't agree with you more about the product of the environment thing. And
yeah, and to your point, and you see this meme or reel, I'm sure, like no one doing better than you is going to hate on you.
So true.
You don't have time for it.
So true. So true.
And the circle thing, that's probably been one of the hardest, maybe the hardest thing for me in sobriety. Because as you grow, your circle, it shifts.
Yep.
And not everyone from day one circle is in day 1,000 circle.
And it's sad, but it's true.
And it's something you have to learn though. Yeah. If you want to keep going, that's how that has to happen. You have to learn to take a step out.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a way to love people from a distance.
Totally.
And like say like, hey, I love you. I want what's best for you. But until you can meet me where I'm at and headed, we can't continue this.
And for the people that are like mad at us for saying that, oh, you shouldn't like leave your day ones. Look what, for example, happened to Kevin Hart. He blew up, took his best friend with him, and his best friend tried to screw him over. Like, that's what his whole documentary is over. His best friend tried to screw him over, like, expose his cheating scandal and everything. So the people that you think are your day ones can actually end up having some, like, underlying resentment or jealousy or something. And if they feel like you cut them off financially or not giving them as much as they think that they deserve because they're, like, your best friend, they might start getting spiteful. You know what I mean? And that's when, like, sticky situations happen. But if you're around people that are on their same level, then that's not, the jealousy usually doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Because you're rooting for each other and supporting each other and wanting each other to grow.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've tried to start doing is I look for men that I admire.
Yeah.
And
smart.
I DM them.
Smart. So smart.
Like all you dudes out there hopping in chicks' DMs, like, hey, I get it. Like been there, done it, right? I've done it. But hop in the DMs of men you admire. You'd be shocked at the men that read that and they're like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. And they'll say something back. Yeah. They want to see you do well
like
too.
You're in.
Yeah, totally.
And that actually happened to me recently.
That's
awesome. I feel so blessed for it. Hopefully he listens to this. He knows who he is. But I didn't think I was almost more nervous shooting that shot than like some random
like
DM
hot girl. Yeah.
But because I'm like, okay, like actually,
his opinion matters.
Yeah. I paid attention to like what I said, how I said it. Paid attention to my grammar, but I was also myself and I kept it real.
Love that.
And he got back to me like almost immediately.
Yep.
And he's like, let's get lunch.
Yep.
And it was like.
Real recognizes real.
It was quick.
Yeah.
But for you, like younger men out there, younger women too, find someone that inspires you, that you admire.
Yep.
Elevate your circle.
Yep. So true. And
you have to.
That's what happened with me. And that's how I just kept growing and growing. And it's sad. It's not that I'm like a no new friends kind of girl, because I am. I love new friends, but it's also hard once you get to a point understanding who's there for good intentions and not good intentions.
Right.
So that's also something that's hard coming with the growth. But yeah, so like I said, just surrounding yourself with other people that are like-minded, other business owners, people that you admire, just like you said, like that is the smartest advice that I think I would give to my younger self, is hang out with people that are doing what you want to be doing. Because you will eventually become them. So
yeah, and even if you feel insecure, because you will at times.
Oh, for sure.
Like that's part of it. So if you're out there and you're listening, like that it should feel that way.
Yeah.
Like if you're pursuing hard enough, something big enough, you should have some insecurity around it.
It should scare you a little bit, for sure.
But that's when I think for me, and this is probably the addict mentality too, but if it feels scary, that's when I go both feet in. I'm like, oh yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Because I know on the other side of that, even if there's a quote unquote like failure of what I think the outcome should be, I'm going to learn something so big that I can apply to the next thing.
Totally.
And just do it over and over and over again. And eventually something's going to be like, bam, it's going to stick.
And it's never failing as long as you learn from it.
Yep.
If you don't learn from it, then you're failing and you just make the same mistake over. Okay, I call that a failure, but as long as you're growing and learning along the process, like Same thing with starting businesses. 90% of businesses fail.
Yeah.
That's why most people, they'll start like 3 or 4 before one actually like hits. And it's like, oh crap. But yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, you can't give in
No.
to any of that. The other thing about you brought up that you have to be careful. You're talking about like the whole no new friends thing.
Yes.
I haven't really experienced that until recently. And it originated a little bit in college. Like it definitely happened because people want to be around things that are shining.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Just like we were just talking about. We want to be around things that are better.
Right. You just have to be really careful of deciphering like who really wants to be there because they want to grow.
Yeah.
And who really wants to be there just to
cloud chase.
Just to take some of your light.
Yeah.
They need some of your light.
Yeah.
And I think that's been a hard lesson for me to learn.
It is. And it's sad because you also want to see the good in people.
Yeah.
And then it starts almost like jading you a little bit. You're like, do I let this person in? Do I not? Like, what are their intentions? Then you start questioning people's intentions. And it's unfortunate, but it's a reality. Unfortunately, but it's a reality. Because like I said, after the home robbery thing happened for me, the police said to me, this is definitely someone that I probably knew. Or someone that like, you know, they knew the layout of my home. They knew where things were. They came when I was home with the lights on. Like they did not care. And they knew that I was obviously home alone. I don't think they would have just, you know, did what they did if they thought someone else would have been there. So that's why it's just, you have to be there. Once you start really growing, you have to be really careful. Honestly, after that happened, it's sad. I want to say that I dimmed my light, but I totally did, because my first car that I ever bought myself with my own money, because I worked my butt off, was a Porsche. And that was my pride and joy. That was my baby. I loved that car. It was a Porsche Cayenne Turbo S. I still love that car. And the day after my robbery happened, I sold it for dirt cheap to some dude on Craigslist because I just wanted it out of my driveway. I stopped wearing jewelry. I used to wear like really fancy jewelry, diamonds. I stopped wearing that. I stopped posting pictures with the people that I used to post pictures with because it just drew too much attention and made me a target. And so now because of that, like I had to, I'm still kind of traumatized from that experience. And I think like I literally today was like, oh, should I wear my Rolex? And I was like, no, I'm not going to. And then I immediately didn't wear it because I just didn't, I don't know. I just get nervous sometimes, especially like if it's going to be posted somewhere, I just get nervous. I think after that happens. So,
well, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So, just being around good, genuine people that you trust and like letting them in, that's important.
I feel like it certainly has to be scarier from a female's perspective too. Right.
Yeah.
Like I'm not afraid, so to speak.
Yeah.
Of like, if you want to come in my house and try to rob me, like we can ball out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We can do that. But it has to be different for a female. Mm-hmm. It has to be. Mm-hmm. And so I can understand where you're coming from, like, because when you work really hard, you want to buy yourself nice things.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah.
People will be like, oh, you just care about like, okay, sure. Like whatever.
No, I just wanted to drive around and be like, no, I bought this.
Yeah.
No boyfriend bought this for me. I bought this.
No, I built this.
I wanted to be able to say that. Yeah. Not like, oh, will your sugar daddy get that for you? No.
Yeah. No.
I did this myself. Yeah. I wanted that.
And I think that's how it should be.
Yeah.
But I think men are more comfortable, if you will, like showing off in that way.
Yeah.
Because there's less of a fear associated with it of like something could happen.
But see, I look at it the opposite way. If I were a man and I were doing that well, I wouldn't walk around like I was because I would be nervous about women dating me for the wrong reasons.
I also think it's an insecurity thing if we really want to dive into that.
Yeah.
Like, because there's people around that have money, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But the wealthiest dude I know
don't. Yep. They don't.
You would
never know.
You would never know.
Yep. Totally.
Drives like an older F-150.
I love that.
You know what I mean? Like, literally, I don't think he's bought a pair of tennis shoes for 20 years.
That's awesome. That's my vibe.
But
that's my kind of vibe.
That's where he's at. And
that's the kind of wealth I'm trying to aspire to be.
Yeah.
So I can walk around not caring and just give back to as many animals as possible and humans.
Well, he knows. It's so smart, though, to your point, and wise. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't want anyone to ever be around me or want to be around me because of what I have. Mm-hmm. I wanted them to be around me or want to be around me because of who I am.
But you'll get treated differently by the stuff that you do have, though.
For sure.
Pull up in a restaurant in a Ferrari. Get out. Pull up in the same exact restaurant in a Toyota. Not knowing that you have the same amount of money in the bank account as the guy with the Ferrari, and you'll be treated completely different.
Something
Their
simple.
car is going to be parked right in front of the restaurant. Yours is going to be in the back of the lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So little things, I'm telling you, like make a huge difference.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think, to really even take it another step. Before I had a podcast, now people hear podcast. You have a podcast. Yeah. They change like that. You can watch it on them.
Yeah.
Like the way that they start interacting with you. And like this, I'm not making money. You know what I mean? Like there's no money.
Yeah.
We're spending money.
Yeah.
But like, I think that it's so interesting once people like hear something that's outside of the norm, they're instantly attracted to it. And I watch for that because like, if that's what makes you think I'm valuable,
yeah,
then I don't want you around.
Totally.
I want you to understand my character at like on a very deep level.
Yeah. You want to attract people that are actually in it for you and not for the things that you have or whatever. So yeah, totally. That's kind of, I think also why I also lay low with certain things, because I know a lot of girls that are very, very showy, and a lot of my friends are, and no disrespect to them. That's totally cool. But I've already come across like a good amount of people that were just not genuine with their motives with me. And I'm a very generous person, and sometimes people say I'm like too nice and I can get taken advantage of, and it's so true. So it's hard. You have to sometimes be a little bit guarded, which is unfortunate because you want to see the good in people, but sometimes you got to be guarded with certain people, unfortunately.
To give everyone some perspective, and I'll open up about this too, if you're comfortable with it. How many people are in your innermost circle right now?
Like my girlfriend, like really, like I would do anything for. Yeah. 2 girls. That's it. So
I want people to hear that.
2 girls.
That's legit.
2. And
that's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, like, when I hear someone like, oh, it's my best friend, and this is my best friend, and that's my best friend, this is my best friend, I automatically am out on that person.
Hannah and Julia, you guys know who you are. Day ones, like those are my people from New York. They watched me grow, and like they grew with me. Like they were in it with me. Like they were also trainers. They also did the same thing I did. We grew together. And those 2 girls, I've met a lot of amazing people, women out here, and that's great. And like I do value our friendships, but I never, ever, ever once questioned Hannah or Julia's intentions with me. We've never spoken, we've never gotten into any fights, never disagreements, never jealousy. We are constantly supporting each other. Like if Julia is doing a huge event, like I am cheering for her, commenting on her stuff, like sharing it and doing whatever I can to support her, you know what I mean? And support Hannah in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, you gotta, once I hear the same thing with you, once you hear like, oh, this person's my best friend, this person's my best friend, I just like don't really fully believe it. I just don't, you know? Like,
what, how, why?
Like how can you be that close with that many people? I mean, like unless you're one of those people that like, you know, grew up in a small town and stayed in that small town and like were best friends with your kids from elementary school and like never left town, like I get that. Mm-hmm. But Hannah lives in Miami, Julia lives in Los Angeles, and I live in Texas. So we are literally on opposite ends. Yeah. And we are like this. We FaceTime, we keep in touch in our group chat, and like those are my girls. Like I said, I just never had to question anything. And they were there for the bad. You know what I mean? They were there for like a really horrible, really, really, really 2 horrible breakups that I went through. They were there for me. No judgments. I'd be in the back of the gym like crying and like in the break room, and they'd be like, pull together. Like, let's go. We got things to do. I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's go and get out there and start like, hey guys, all right, let's big step back, big kick forward, start warming up, you know? So they've gotten me through some really hard days. And yeah, I just need to give you guys a little shout out. Those are my people.
I love that. No, I think that's just so important for people to hear. My innermost circle, 2.
Yeah. That's all you need.
And one of them, like, I haven't even known for a year yet.
Yeah. But it doesn't matter. It's your people.
You know.
Yeah. When you know.
Yeah. He doesn't want anything other than to see me succeed.
Yeah. That's like a real man right there. That's a real friend. Like that's a bro. Yeah.
From day one, he was like, what do we got to do? Like, how can you need to do this. What about this?
That's
like,
awesome.
It's been like
love
that.
people like that. I
Me
love
too.
people like that.
And he knows who he is, and people that listen to this know who he is. I'm not going to say his name, but he's, I would say, like the world's biggest cheerleader.
That's awesome.
Like, and he's genuine about it. Like, he's not going to compliment you on something that's not real.
Yep, totally.
But he will take the time to see what you're good at and what you're passionate about, and then compliment you on that thing.
So true.
In a way that's like makes you on top of the world.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be beaten.
Didn't we talk about this? Like you said, like in the DMs the other day, like I was like, oh, those aren't your friends or something like that. Like you were saying something like, it's so rare to have other people want to see you succeed. And I was like, then those aren't your friends. You know what I mean? Like, like he's like, oh, some friends don't want to see that. I was like, those aren't your people then. Like
Nope.
the guy that you just were talking about just now, that's your person. Like those are your people.
Yep.
If they're not cheering for you and if they're like not like celebrating your wins, like you gotta get out of my circle. You know what I mean? Like you're not here for the right reasons. And
So
I don't
true.
I don't like people that just like watch from afar and like say that they're supporting. Like, okay, cool. Like, but no, really? Because like
That's
when
been
I'm
hard with
celebrating-
back home people for me.
but that's how it's gonna like
Right.
expect that.
Yeah.
Expect that. Because if the back home people aren't liking you, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Promise you.
Yep.
You're doing something
There's
right.
no doubt there. The craziest thing that I've started to pick up on is the people I thought, a lot of them, there's some guys back home that I love to death, but a lot of them, like, they're like shadow support, right? They're not shining your light for you or to like help you or whatever. I have one buddy though, who's like, as soon as the podcast came out, he's like, I got to get you back to talk to the high school kids.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And he did the legwork. Like I didn't do anything.
Yeah. He just connected the dots. Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to go talk to the principal,
That's
these
amazing.
administrators, these people.
Did you do it?
Yeah, I went
Good.
back. He set
Good.
it all up. And I was like, dude, that's a loyal dude.
That's one that wants to see you win.
He's in.
Yeah, totally.
He's in.
Totally. Keep those people close. They're so rare to find.
And he's the other one that's in the circle.
Yeah, good.
And everyone else is kind of like, I look at it from like a solar perspective. Like think about like the solar system. And this sounds crazy and selfish, but like we should all be the center of our own lives.
Yeah.
Right? You're the sun.
Yeah.
And then there's planets, right? And like those rings, I think, kind of represent like the closeness people have to you.
Okay, totally. Yeah, there's like different degrees. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Like the Earth is the third farthest away.
Yeah.
I think somebody's going to correct me in this, and that's fine. I don't know anything about any of this, but I do know they're like different distances away.
Mhm.
But the people in the innermost circle, they're the closest to you. They know the most about you. They know the most vulnerable things about you.
Yeah.
And you are good in that window, right? Like you feel safe there.
Mhm.
Then you have people like in the next layer, the next layer, the next layer. The further out you get, the less you really know.
Yeah.
They might think they know, but like
yeah. For just what they see online or like whatever, and they think they know. You've said like hi to you, like your old drinking buddies. And I mean, those aren't your drinking buddies. Those are your party friends. Those aren't like your real friends. You know what I mean? And I feel like
it's shocking
there's
how
a
many of them
difference.
don't come
People-
along.
Oh yeah, no,
You can't bring them. Honestly,
you
if
can't.
we're going
You
to
can't.
keep it all the way a buck,
can't.
like
You can't. They're just their priorities are not right. They're on a different dimension than we are. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
and
We're
I
getting
love-
up at
I love them.
3-something in the morning, and these other people are drinking their faces off on a weekend, sleeping in until like 11 o'clock on a Sunday. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
I guess it's a Sunday. I get it. It's a Sunday, but I don't care. I just cannot fathom sleeping until 11 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if that sounds judgy. I just can't fathom that. That blows my mind.
I don't think it's.
It's a waste of a day. There's so like, that's so much time.
But I think in order to appreciate what you're saying, like, and I think that's why whether it's fitness, if it's professional career, whatever it is, why we have this approach of like I can't lose today.
Yeah.
It's because I understand what it feels like to not want another day,
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
and to have the opposite of that now and want it.
Wake up feeling grateful instead. It's the
Yeah.
best.
What you want me to waste it?
Yeah.
Like you want me to sit here on my ass all day and like just what? No,
Totally.
we're not doing that.
Totally.
And I think that you have to, the only way to really think the way that we think in that way is you have to have that experience of like,
Mhm.
I don't want to be here today.
Yeah.
I don't want to live.
Could not agree with that more. I love what you just said. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think but see, that's the other piece of this. I don't wish that on anyone.
No, of course not. Yeah.
Like that's a shitty place to be.
Mhm.
It is
Mhm.
shitty to be like, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's also a gift if you can kind of maneuver out of that space into like this life of like gratitude and growth.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's a gift.
It's like I said, the shifting of the power, your superpower, right? You can use it for good. You can use it for evil. If you want to use it for your negative thoughts and become obsessive and compulsive over that, cool. You can also use it for good and think about positive and trying to better your life. So yeah, totally agree with that.
Something too, we haven't talked about this. How old were you when you got sober?
20 years old.
20.
20 years old.
Yeah.
Oh, I was fucking up early.
Yeah.
Early. Yeah. I got the partying, the raging. Everything I do, I get it over like early. Like, I don't know why. Like,
Yeah.
I just do everything like I came out with, like obviously the drugs and then drinking. I'm just grateful that I got that over with, I think, at an earlier phase. Cause there's nothing sadder than sitting in rehab and seeing like the people that are, this is so sad to say, like 60 years old that just like keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back. And I'm glad that I kind of got my phase over with very early on.
I describe it the same. I think people will say like, for me, they'll be like, do you ever consider relapse?
No.
And I'm like, no, because there's nothing I didn't experience.
Yeah.
Like I did it.
Yeah.
I was all in on it.
And it's just not worth throwing this away.
No.
Like this is too good that like I would never want to go back to like the loser that I was.
Yeah.
Like the fuck.
No.
Why would you want to go back to that?
I don't need to do that again.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that the other superpower it gives you is there is no business that can fail. You can take my house, you can take my vehicle, you can take all of my clothes, you can take everything that I've accrued, if you will, in this sobriety journey. You can take it away tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll come back.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that bottom isn't the same as the other bottom.
Totally.
So like you want to do that, go ahead. Like I'll come back.
Totally.
And with a vengeance.
Yeah.
And I think that's another superpower.
Yeah, absolutely.
It allows you to take risk.
Yeah. Oh, the risk. Yeah. Don't get me started. That's why I think there's so many addicts business owners, because they are down to take risks. People that are not down to take risk work for someone else.
Yeah.
They're employees. They're not bosses.
Yep.
So I think a lot of addicts, they have more of a risk-taking mentality. Same thing with gambling addicts. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're down to take the risk that others aren't. So
good or evil.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and because there's good risk.
Yep, totally.
For sure.
Totally.
Yeah, I think about that too. And there's the crazy thing about the word addict for me is like, I would argue with anyone that Michael Jordan was an addict outside of gambling, like just athletically.
Yeah.
He was addicted to growth.
Yep.
In his craft.
Love that.
So he was addict brained.
Yeah.
Same with a Kobe Bryant or to your point, any top 1%, anything.
They have that addict mentality.
They might not have ever went down the drug and alcohol lane, and that's great.
No,
good
but
for
they
them.
still, but if they were to pick up drugs, they probably would.
It'd
you know
be
what I mean?
over.
Oh, it'd be game over. But that's the thing. It's like these people are so addicted to growth and staying on that positive thing. It's impossible to fail almost. You know what I mean? When you're so passionate and so relentless about something, that's what it is. It comes down to being relentless. You can fail over and over and over and over and over again. And I know so many millionaires that have been broke 6 times and got rich again on the 7th.
Yeah.
So that's really what it is. Just being absolutely relentless. And I think that's what a lot of athletes and a lot of addicts are. They're just completely relentless, just in different ways. So. And
showing up.
Yeah, totally. Showing up.
You know, I think there's so many people that I meet that have a fear that's centered around like their performance, like how they're going to perform.
Mm-hmm.
But if you live in that fear and you don't perform and you don't step into that, like there is no growth.
Totally.
You're going to be where you were yesterday.
Yep.
I feel that way. We're 18, 19 episodes deep right now, like on this podcast. Yeah. I still feel that way when I come in here. I'm like, I probably suck ass at this. Like, why am I doing this?
No, you're actually very good. I'm very comfortable. It takes me a second to like let my anxiousness, but I'm very comfortable in that. No, you're very good at this actually. And you're very calming. That. Yeah, honestly, you're very, very good.
No, I appreciate that because I mean, I'm my own worst enemy in that way, right?
Yeah, you're your biggest critic. You know what I mean? We're
my
our
whole
own
brain
biggest
is
critics.
Like, did I say that right? Did I say this right? Should I say this? What? You know, and it's like that thing though is something I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
Because me being able to be critical of myself is what allows me to get better. I think I have to be very careful though, because like I can spiral out on that quickly.
Totally. Yes. But I think just thoughts and like general thoughts, addicts tend to spiral on thoughts, either they're positive or negative. Don't get me wrong. Like I wake up, I do my gratitude journal, I read a page of positivity I do my shit. Yeah. I do my homework. I do. But of course there are days I look in the mirror, I'm like, wow, I'm such a fat shit. You know what I mean? Like I have body dysmorphia. Mm-hmm. And I think that's another thing is that that's a whole other topic, but I think that people with body dysmorphia issues, like people are like, oh, I don't have it anymore. I think that's bullshit. Mm-hmm. It's like being an addict. Like you'll always have that in you. You'll always have that kind of body, like that self-critique almost. And it could be a really good thing or it could be a really bad thing. There's kind of like, it could be the evil where you're like beating yourself up. But at the same time, if I didn't also have that evil, I wouldn't push myself to try to be better and be obsessed with trying to be better than everyone else. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
It's almost, a double-edged sword.
Yeah, and so the body dysmorphia thing, actually, we did like almost an entire episode on it.
That's crazy, yeah.
Because, I mean, I still have it.
Yeah.
If I have a bad day of eating, which happens, 100%.
Yep.
So if you're out there listening, like you can fuck up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's gonna happen. You're gonna make a mistake.
It's life.
It's
life.
It's what you do next. But I know, like logically, I'm intelligent enough to understand if I eat a cheeseburger as soon as we finish today, I'm not going to go back to 312 pounds.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
But I will still feel that way.
Yep.
I will feel like that 312 pound guy.
Yeah.
At times.
It's almost like guilt and shame, or I don't know what it is that kind of stays there, but something does. And
right. Well, you meet people, and I want to tap into this too. I've become friends recently with a couple different folks, and actually had a guest on the show. Her episode is coming out here in a few days, but it was on eating disorders. And people need to understand how prevalent that really is.
Oh,
it's everywhere.
Every girl has one. At least 99% of girls I think have one, because you might not admit it, or like it's just such a closeted thing to talk about too, especially like how many girls do it like so low key. Like I know girls that just take Adderall just to like not eat all day because they just don't want to get fat. Like nothing to do with the Adderall. They just don't want to get fat. You know what I mean? And or girls that will just binge and then like, you know, purge right after or something. Like I lived with a girl that would do that often, and that was really, really hard because she was so beautiful and just made me so sad. But I mean, I get it. I was her at one point. But yeah, I think that so many people will not openly admit it, at least if they're currently in it. They'll say that, oh yeah, I used to have one, but I don't know too many girls that will be like, I'm still struggling right now.
Right.
I just don't. And like, I don't make myself puke anymore, thank God. And then I don't like, you know, skip meals anymore, but there are definitely days that I look in the mirror and I'm like, I don't like how I look at all. Mm-hmm. And it almost makes me feel like a fraud because I'm a trainer. Like we're in the health and wellness kind of space. And I'm like, crap, like I want everyone else to feel good about themselves. But the reality is it's like, that's not real.
Right.
That's not real life. You're not going to wake up every single day being like, oh my God, I'm the hottest girl ever. Like that's just not real. Like there are days that you're going to wake up and like, oh my God, I have my period. I'm really bloated. I'm feeling extra puffy. Like I had too much sodium yesterday. I'm, you know, like whatever. So I think that it's almost like a fake sense of false positivity, if that makes sense, of like these people waking up every day and being like, oh my God, I'm amazing. I love myself. I just call bullshit on that. I call bullshit. I'm sorry. Like anyone that's saying that they're fully healed from their body dysmorphia and fully healed and they love themselves every single day, I'm sorry, but like
I haven't found it yet.
Yeah, either you're on drugs, like,
yeah.
I
haven't gotten there, and I've done therapy around it.
Yeah,
a lot of it. I've worked out, I think, enough to not worry about it.
Exactly, yeah.
But it's still there.
Totally.
It is still there.
It'll always be there, yeah.
And I still like catch myself thinking about like in comparison to others, and I think this is important for people too. You're on your path.
Yeah.
Period. Like if you want to compete with others, that's great.
Yeah.
Because there's times I have. Like I've definitely ran down that rabbit hole, and there's times where I'm like broken off on a run or in a lift. Like I will go somewhere mentally and compete with other people. Yep. That's real.
Okay. And I love that though. I love that you're openly admitting that because a lot of people are like, no, like I'm good.
Yeah.
I think that's bullshit.
Yeah. No, I think I'm flawed in that
bullshit.
way.
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh yeah, remember that motherfucker like 6 weeks ago that looked at me a little funny and he said I was a bitch? Like he didn't say any of that, but I will create that scenario in my head.
Yeah, no, that's
just to
so
push
relatable.
a little harder.
Yeah, it's so relatable.
Or like one of the guys that I told you about that's in my innermost circle, I will convince myself that he's doing some bullshit in my head just to piss myself off enough to push myself.
Yourself harder for sure.
And then I'll call him after and be like, hey, by the way, I just abused our friendship by doing this. And like they'll laugh and be like,
I love that.
Like,
so
no,
funny.
I love it.
Yeah.
But while you're on your own journey, it's okay to use things.
Yeah,
just as long as you're not hurting others.
Yeah, totally.
Right? If it's yours to use. Like whatever you want to pull.
Whatever fuels your fire, do it.
Yeah.
Whatever
as long
works
as it doesn't
for
hurt
you.
anyone.
Yeah, totally.
And because you hear like this new message now, like, and I call bullshit on it, but it's like you only compete with yourself. And I'm like, okay, sure. I do to an extent.
But what do I aspire to be?
Right.
You know what I mean? You need to, like, that's fine to compete yourself every day, but what are you aspiring to be?
I need somebody better than me.
Yeah. To look up to. Yeah. Totally.
And then, you get to that point and then you're like, all right, next.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's kept me not just sober, but alive.
Yeah.
Right?
Because it's just constantly working on something. Yeah, totally.
There's purpose. And I know for men, it's so important to have something ahead of you.
So true.
You need something out there in the distance that you're heading towards.
So true.
I had it explained to me like this, and I think this applies to everyone on some level. Everyone should have a Super Bowl, if you will, right? Like the big game or the big thing that you're in pursuit of. And I think that what I've found is like, and they told me in that same piece of advice, once you find out what your Super Bowl is, every decision you make either gets you closer to that or further away.
Love that mindset.
And then you have to make those decisions.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, people want me to go to this networking event tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. If I go there, I might meet some cool people. That's cool. But I need to run 10 miles at 5 a.m.
And I'm not going to get enough sleep. And
and that like people don't understand, I don't think either, like once you come out of that addiction hole, like everything matters.
Yeah.
Sleep matters. Like
Routine.
Exercise matters. What I read in the morning matters.
Just your routine. Yeah.
It's so important. I get out of my routine, and I would say this, like it fucks me up.
Yes.
I fall to pieces.
Yup. Okay.
And like I'll say that out loud. People would be like, well, that means you're still broken. Absolutely. But that's fine.
No, I think that's bullshit. No, I also think that's bullshit. I need routine too in order to, like, that's like the military. Military needs routine. That's how they succeed. You know what I mean? Everything is very routine for them. That's why they're good. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's so funny because that just kind of fell into my relationship now is ever since I moved here, I've become a crazy homebody. And I'm sure it's probably not the best thing. You've never seen me out before. You know what I mean? Like, I don't go out much. I'm very to myself. I'm very private. And every Saturday is my one day off. So I work 6 days a week. This is the first year of my life that I decided to take one day off a week. So now I take Saturdays off. I know that's mental, but like that's me. So I keep my hours open from 4 a.m. until basically like 9 p.m. from Sunday through Friday. And so Saturday's my one day off. And on my one day off, I don't want to socialize with the world. I want to be in my house with my dogs, just decompressing. I need it. I just need to be away from people. I need to shut off. I kind of like I need to get up in the morning. I need to do my workout. I need to have my smoothie. I need to have my routine. And my boyfriend is a social butterfly. And he loves UT games, loves to go out, has so many friends here. He's born and raised in Austin. So like he's like the mayor here. And I'm like the black hat. Like I'm not, that's not my vibe. And he wants to go out every Saturday, like to do something. It doesn't, even if it's not drinking or anything, just anything. Like going to watch his nephew's baseball game that's like an hour away, and it's like a 3-hour thing and then an hour drive back. It doesn't sound like much, I know, but for someone that does like that's their one day off, that's their routine, that's their like sanity, it's so hard. And I try to like explain that to him. I was like, just so you know, before you came along, I was a homebody. I never left my house. I need my Saturday like to decompress. I just need it. Like once in a while, you want to do something like cool, I'm down to go with you. I support it. I want to, I'm not here to lock you away. Do whatever you want. But I need to have my own time. And so like he texted me, he like hits me up while he's at work today. He goes, oh, by the way, it's my friend's, and he promised me this Saturday would be my Saturday. Oh, by the way, it's my friend's like wedding reception this Saturday. Like we got to go to that. I don't have a dress. I don't have anything to wear. You know what I mean? So now I'm stressed out. So having that routine and like kind of like your sanity, I need that. And I think also like being an addict, I think a lot of addicts need that. And I think it's really hard also being an addict in a relationship with someone that's also not an addict too. Because they just don't get it.
It's a different dynamic.
Sense. It's totally different. Yeah, it's totally different. But I wanted to ask you how, because I feel like this is like a juicy topic.
Yeah.
Addicts in relationships, right? Like once you got sober, how did that change the dynamic of relationships before you got sober and after you got sober? And what are your struggles in relationships now that have to do with like your addict mentality? Is there anything that your addict mentality kind of like holds you back from doing in relationships?
Yeah, it's such a great question.
Thank you.
Pre-sobriety, I feel like I dated or was around more addicts.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Especially like in relationships. The girl I dated in college, so like I have a pretty interesting dating schedule, if you will. I was in like an in and out of confusing relationship through college.
Okay.
Super confusing. Like there were other people involved. It was messy. It was whatever. I had a drinking problem then, like full force. Mm-hmm. She didn't. This girl didn't. And then I didn't date after her for like after college even for like 6 years.
Wow.
Like I went on dates. Don't get me wrong.
But you didn't like date. Why?
There was
just no one special, not like just no connection, or you just
I think
ready,
I was just so unsettled with myself.
Yeah.
That there's no way I could settle with anyone else.
Okay, cool.
And so I bounced all around, like just doing whatever. And then right before I got sober, so like 2 years leading up to my sobriety, I got into another relationship with someone else who was like active in their addiction. And so it worked in that way. Mm-hmm. But it was like gasoline and fire,
yeah,
right?
Of
like
course.
it just like
it's not gonna work. Yeah.
It was always an issue. But I'm really grateful for that relationship because now, like her and I don't communicate.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to her in years, but I know she's sober.
That's great.
And I know she's found a man that loves her and treats her right.
Yay.
And like That's a win.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I'm pumped about that.
That's good.
Post sobriety, I didn't date for like not a single date for like 9 months, 8 months.
Wow, good for you. Why? You just wanted to focus on you and kind of not let anything fuck that up potentially, or?
I think I was just like, yeah, like I think people looked at me and they were like, this guy has fucking lost it.
Okay.
Like that's what it was. Because like
Okay.
my mind was made up at 312 pounds. I was going to do an Ironman.
Yeah.
I was like, I got that shit.
Good for you.
And everyone's looking
that.
at me like, this guy's fucking nuts.
But I love that. You need some level of like delusion.
You have to.
You have to.
Business, fitness, doesn't matter.
Dream bigger.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, dream
Faith,
bigger. I don't care.
be
Dream
delusional.
bigger. Yeah. I prefer you chasing delusion. I don't care.
Yeah.
Do it. Yeah. Sorry. Keep going.
No, you're good. So that was, I think it made the not dating thing kind of easy. Plus I was still out of shape.
So you're like, I didn't feel good about myself.
Yeah. And like, so it wasn't that difficult to stay away from it. About 9 months in to sobriety, I met someone, and what I didn't know at the time, and this person's still like really important to me.
Okay, good.
We're not together. We're never going to be together. Like that part's dead. But for me, I think it was probably the most like influential or important relationship that I ever had.
Why?
Because it got me to learn things about my childhood, to understand why I show up the way I do.
Love that.
And like without that extremely painful experience, I would have never learned that lesson.
Amazing.
And understood like, oh, I have codependency issues. I have challenges with like my avoidance comes from like, I don't want to give myself to someone just because they're going to leave.
Yep.
Right. They're going to abandon me. You know, that all comes from my childhood.
Yep.
I wouldn't have ever learned that if it wasn't for this relationship. We essentially trauma bonded.
Mm-hmm.
She had like a health diagnosis that was like life altering for sure. And then I'd just gotten sober. So like she was trying to focus on her health like in every way. And so was I. Wow. And she wanted to cook healthy food. And I wanted to be like, I wanted that, you know. So,
gotcha.
And it was COVID and like there was nowhere to go. And like we lived in the same building and it just made it was easy.
Wow. Yeah.
And so that relationship though in itself was on and off for 2.5 years. And on and off in like the most toxic way. Okay. Like, and not all on her and not all on me. Like it was a joint effort of toxicity.
Cool. Yeah.
So I think that one, without that one, I'm not here today. Okay. I needed it. Yeah. Now, what it looks like is one, if I meet people or I meet someone, a lot of people that I've dated, I say people, a lot of women that I've dated, just to be clear, no judgment, but it's not not
your cup of tea.
Yeah, not my cup of tea. But the women that I've dated or been on dates with, for the most part, like the date will go well, the conversation's great, like no issues there. But when the first time I'm like, hey, I don't want to, I got to go to bed at like 8:30.
Yeah, they're like, what do you mean?
They're like, what? Like, what are you doing? Like, what's really happening? Why aren't you talking? I'm like, look, I'm going to be up at 3:45.
Yeah.
You're going to be in bed for another 2 hours. Yeah. 3 hours. Yeah. Probably 4.
Yeah, literally.
I'm done I've already ran 10 miles. I've already had my breakfast.
The lifestyle difference.
Yeah. It doesn't mesh with a lot of people. Yep. And
it's so true.
And like the going out thing. Look, I get Sunday's my day off. What that looks like for me is like, I want to do what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And like that doesn't
the same way. That
doesn't sit well.
Yeah, with a lot of people.
Right. Totally. And so but if I met someone that was like, hey, can you make this a Wednesday thing?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, totally.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like I can adjust that.
Yeah, totally.
But I need my day.
You need your one day. Yep.
I just need a day. And that's created a lot of friction in every relationship of like, well, I want to go here and do this. And I'm like, go ahead.
Yep.
I'll be right here.
And they'll be upset that you're not going.
Right.
That's literally exactly like what.
It's a battle.
It's hard. Yeah,
it's really hard. And then it's like, then you feel selfish.
Yeah, exactly. Then you feel guilty, but you're like, oh, but look, I need to be selfish because I need my own time because then I can't show up and be the best person of myself. I'll get snappy. Like I'll become like a little bitchy because I'm like, I'm not getting any sleep. Like I need to do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't want to be that person for them. I want to be the best version of myself and I need my one day. Yep. Just like you do. Like you get it. Yeah, you totally.
I have to have it.
Yeah.
And I totally. I'll say things like I don't have an expectation for whoever I'm with for how they show up during that day.
Totally.
Because it's not their day.
Mm-hmm.
And if they say, like, if their day is Thursday, then I can respect that.
Totally, yeah.
But it's not my fault that you're not busy enough to like need a day.
Yeah.
Like that's not on me.
Yeah, totally.
And that's hard to say.
It's true. Yeah.
But it's true.
It's
if
true.
you're really busy and you're pouring out every single day and you're grinding everything to a dust, you need a day.
Preach.
You got to have that day.
Preach.
And like I'm not giving it up. Like, and if that means Tripp's going to be single forever, like I'm not giving it up.
I don't blame you.
Because there are people out there that understand it.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, if you like, here's the other crazy dynamic to this. Women they want the entrepreneur. They want the businessman. They want the successful man.
They want the idea of it. They love the idea of it.
They want the health. They want the drive. They want the masculinity. They want the high tea. They want all these things. And then they get around it and they're like,
yup.
Oh, that's what it looks like.
Yup.
Like, no, you want a beta.
Yup.
You need a beta. You need a dude who's like kind of laid back and doesn't care.
You hit the nail on the head. Thank you. That is so true. It's so true. It's people like the idea of you, and then once and they, on paper you're like, wow, this is great. Like you're great to show off to like your significant other's parents, but can you keep up with that lifestyle?
Yep.
Does it bother you? Is the real question. Because like I don't expect you running with me at 4 a.m. I'm sure you don't expect your significant other doing that with you.
No.
But support it.
Yep.
Have breakfast made when I get back. Like do something, you know what I mean? Like support it. Yeah, just be supportive of it, in some way, shape, or form. Could not agree with you more on that actually. That's so true. So true.
If you want to be like, if you want that, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
And I think, and what's really created some friction in my life in the past, especially in like this last 4 years and change, I can promise you I'm not going to show up as the best me if I start removing those practices.
Yep.
And then what happens? Then the relationship gets even more sour.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Because you're holding on resentment toward them because they're screwing up. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Totally.
And then you're mad because like I'm coming to do the thing with you that you want me to do.
Yeah.
But I'm pissed off.
Exactly. Yeah. You're not gonna
like I could have just stayed home.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
I don't need to be here.
Totally. Yeah.
Or they'll be like, well, why are you so tired? And I'm like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? Yeah. Look, I don't understand when people say that. Like, what do you mean, Mom? So you see what I do. I post at 4:30 in the morning. I'm up. I'm training clients by 5. I'm not done until God knows what time. And then I'm filming in the middle of the day. Then I have to get my workout in the middle of the day. Then I have to clean my house in the middle of the day, take care of my dog. It is like a full-time thing. You know what I mean? And I think like, just like you said, like people, that's been problem in my previous relationships. The guys love the idea of me and then they start dating me and they're like, what the fuck did I sign up for? Because they'll either, what I've noticed is either they'll date me for the wrong reasons because I have like it's a comfortable, like my friend Chrissy says it really, really well. You give guys a very comfortable pillow to lay on. And I'm like, that's so true. It is so true. And I don't know if it's part of like my own issues of like my way of like getting them to love me or like I don't know what that is, but I like to not be the provider, but I like them to know that I'm not with them for the wrong reasons and I can take care of myself and I do not need them. And at least in like a providing way, you know what I mean?
Not a financial way.
No, not a financial way. Obviously, I and the girls are like, I don't need a man. That's bullshit. Like
I agree.
I need a man.
I agree
so bad. Trust me, I have a beautiful house. I have everything you can want, but I need a man. Like that's
it's more physiological, right? Like it's a primal need.
Yes.
And men and women have different roles, and I'm not going to dive down that road, but like it's important that we have each other to balance each other out.
Yes.
Because I can do things you can't do.
So
and
true.
You can do things that I can't do.
But it's also like if I'm out, doing well, like working so much, whatever, and doing like the breadwinning stuff, like that's cool. But like I need to come home and have someone that I feel safe with, someone that like can turn on that masculinity and like put me in my femininity. You know what I mean? Like it's so hard to find someone that's able to do that, that's not intimidated by that lifestyle. You know what I mean? And that feels that they can provide for me, even though if it's not financially, like I need that. So that's been like a previous issue in relationships where they feel like they're either dating me, or I feel like they're either dating me because of the comfy pillow that I give them, or because they just, I don't know, they're just not in it for the right intentions, basically. Yeah.
I can relate to all of that. And I think for me, I want to here's my goal when it comes to a relationship.
Yeah.
I want to walk out of that door every single morning, flip a switch where I'm a savage. And then I want to come home and turn that switch off.
Yep. And just.
Yeah. And just be able to experience love.
Yeah.
In a way that like I don't have to show up as like this animal.
Yeah, of course.
But I want to show up as an animal in my fitness. I want to show up as an animal in my business. I want to show up as an animal in a lot of my friendships and relationships, because that's about growth. Mm-hmm. But in order for me to maintain that growth path, I still need that balance of coming home and being able to just set it down.
Yeah.
And I think that because I don't have a person at home.
Yeah.
That's why I really need the day.
Yeah.
Right? Because like, why would I shut it off?
Exactly. You can't shut it off. You need to be able to feel safe to shut it off, you know?
Right. And Tex gives me that, my dog.
Yeah.
Like, and so I'll tell you a funny story. Like there was a girl at one point in time, and I was like dating around, if you will, and she'd like come over to the house. So I was like, hey, you want to meet Tex? And she came over to the house. And I like sat on the couch, she sat on the couch, and then Tex went to like get up on the couch, and she like stiff armed him, right? Like, oh no. And
I'd been like, you gotta go.
Literally what happened.
You gotta go now.
Literally in that moment was like, well, I need you to leave.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
This ain't gonna work.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
And it's so funny to me, like it's so funny once you get into this groove of growth, like there is no space for bullshit.
Yeah, you don't let anything stop you.
And people think this is incorrect, and that's fine. This is my approach on it. I trust your red flags.
100%.
Give me a red flag.
100%.
I'm going to trust it.
Yep. I've learned that the hard way, but yeah.
Me too. Because I've burned myself so many times of being like, it's okay. It's like,
I make excuses for them. Yeah, I make excuses for them or something.
This is me being too critical. This is da-da-da-da. And like, it always shows up in a way of like, months later, you're like,
Totally.
Why didn't I just pay attention? So now when the red flag presents itself,
you're like, I believe it. I'm going to take with it. And thank you. Thank you for this information.
I'll be good over here.
Yeah.
You know?
Thank you for this information.
I think that, so I hope that sums up your question. Like, it's a little bit all over the place for me. I haven't found like that right groove. I've actually been able to connect easier with someone who isn't in the same city.
Okay.
That also lives like a lifestyle of like, they grind.
Okay, so I love that, and I love that you just said that you like people that grind, right? But you also said that men and women should have their roles.
Right.
So this is the thing. It's like you want a woman that is, has her shit together, has her life together, takes care of her looks, take care of her body, take care of her mind, spirit, takes care of her finances, everything, right? Mm-hmm. So what is her role as a female then if she, is taking care of all the other things? You know what I mean? Like what do you define the masculine and feminine roles then? How do you define that?
Yeah. For me, I'm fine with her being a grinder outside of the house.
Okay. Yeah.
Inside of the house.
You need to be soft. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, but any dude out there listening, if your girl isn't showing up in a nurturing way, that's on you, bro.
Yep. You're not making her feel safe. I promise
She doesn't feel safe in your frame.
So true.
And like, this doesn't sound good. And like, this isn't like good for clique culture, but like, you're not man enough. So you need to up that game.
It's true. I have to agree with you. It's so true. I cannot like be chill and relaxed if I feel like I'm the one handling everything and everything falls on me. Like I can't do that. I can't relax because I'm taking on all the stress so you can relax. You know what I mean? Like
Well, think about it too this way. How much more could you let your guard down if you don't even have to think if something's handled?
Yeah.
You know the man's got it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's already done.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that like I don't know where it happened, and I can speak on it because I used to be this way, but like I'm not this way now. Men have become lazy.
Almond milk.
Yeah.
When people started drinking almond milk.
Yeah.
I swear to God, that is when the men changed. When almond milk came out, I'm 90% sure that is where like there was some sort of shift. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I blame almond milk.
I
like
blame
other milk stores. Anything
it's a good point. Anything over processed. Right?
No, just like I'm sorry, but like I want a real country boy to be drinking up like a real thing of milk and drinking it. If my man is drinking almond milk in his coffees, you are not my man. Yeah. You are someone else's boyfriend. That sounds horrible. I'm sorry, but I'm very into the more masculine men, and that's just what I go for. That's what I feel safe with. And I just don't do well with the betas. That's why I don't date guys like really in tech or anything like that. I'm much you should probably edit that out. I probably shouldn't say that. But
it's fine.
Okay.
It's totally fine.
Sounds like I just don't want to sound like really bitchy, but this is just how I feel.
I've caught flack for that too. because it's a different world.
Yeah, I just want.
And like if I go into a place that's more beta centric,
Yeah.
I'm not uncomfortable, but like people are uncomfortable and they're like, oh, he's aggressive or he's too much. And it's like,
that's not, you're not aggressive unless you need to be.
No,
Yeah.
I'm fine. Like I'm just right here.
Yep.
You might feel that way, but that's your own insecurity bleeding through. That ain't got nothing to do with me. So I get what you were saying or what you were leading to. You weren't taking a shot at tech. You were taking a shot at a group of men.
Guys with soft hands.
Yeah.
Guys with soft hands.
But that's everywhere now. And
I can't do it.
That's why I love one thing that's cool that's happening in Austin right now. There's this huge push behind raw milk.
Good.
And I love it. Like there's dudes that are
bring men back.
Driving around like buying raw milk, walking around like you'll be out here working out and somebody will be in the parking lot with a gallon jug of raw milk just
that's my vibe. Cool.
And I'm like, this is where we're meant to be.
Yep. Amen.
Because I can be progressive in my emotional health and the way that I communicate and expressing my feelings. And still at the end of the day be capable of like being a man. And I think that's a lot of different, like categorically that can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. For me, what it means, I think being a man entails the original provide and protect, right? I think that's important. I don't think that needs to go anywhere. And then I think the next tier of that for me is like the ability to be vulnerable in a way that doesn't harm others. It only helps them.
Yes.
Because to me, there's nothing more manly than saying, these are my flaws, judge me.
Yeah, because like that's you showing up as you. That's like Eminem when he like outed himself in his own rap. Yep. Like, you know what I mean? That's the same exact thing. Mile. It's like, go ahead, now what?
Yeah.
Cool.
In 8 Mile.
Like, there's nothing you can do.
That's
like,
manly.
Exactly.
It's like judge
couldn't,
me.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah, I love that.
The problem, and I think this is why there's a lot of beta energy in society today, that's a good way to put it, is men are living in so much shame, right?
Yeah.
They're living in so much shame of who they are that they show up in a way that's so passive and like shoulders are rolled down and they're kind of talking like this. Like used to be, you could walk in a room and like you could look around and there were plenty of men.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, oh, that dude, I probably shouldn't mess with him. Like, that dude, that, you know, now I can't tell you, like, this isn't me being arrogant or cocky, but most of the rooms I walk in, like, I can't find that. I'm not intimidated.
Yeah.
Unless I'm at a gym.
Yeah, with other big dudes.
Right.
Like,
a dude who's like an animal in that way, or if I'm like even running, there's certain people that I feel that way with. And in business, there's certain people, but like like this is just my truth, like my perspective on it. Most people that classify themselves as men today
are not. Yeah.
They're not men.
No, I agree.
They might have the parts.
Yeah, for it. Yeah. But showing up as one, they're just not. It's insane how many men would take me on a date, not open the car door for me. That's immediately no. If you do not open the car door for me, immediately I will never go out with you again. Yeah. And if I have to tell you to open the car door for me, like, I'm sorry, like you are not, like, we're just in different dimensions. We are on different dimensions. We're not in the same
people will judge
field.
that and be like, oh, that's too high maintenance. But no. let me break it down to on like another level.
It's basic.
It's called standards.
Chivalry. Yeah. Just
have standards.
Yeah.
And people will be like, well, like, that's just ridiculous. And the same people that say that like having standards is ridiculous is like the same people that have like, and this isn't not like an intentional shot, but like 4 kids with 4 different baby daddies. Yeah. And they're the bad men.
Yep.
And it's like, well, you chose them.
Yep.
You allowed that.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
So like you not having standards is a problem.
Yeah, I agree.
And the only people that take shot at your standards or my standards or whoever's standards,
they can't meet them. Yeah.
They can't meet them.
Yep.
And most of the time it's because they're not willing to do the work.
Yeah.
It's not that they're not capable.
Yeah.
I'm not smart.
Yeah.
Like what do you like? If you gave me an IQ test, I'd probably blow it in half.
Me too. No, me too.
My ears would start smoking. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they'd be like, something's wrong with
barely
dude.
Fucking read, honestly.
Yeah, but like that IQ thing is like not a necessity.
No.
When it comes to success.
No.
It's not. Really about persistence.
Yep.
And like not quitting and keep showing up and all these things.
Being good with people. That's 90% of it too. Just being good with people. I swear to God, that's like I said, I'm not the brightest trainer. I like Rain Hardnell, he's an Austin trainer, 10 times smarter than me, was my mentor. Like, I will tell anyone in Austin, he's a 10 times better trainer than I will ever be. But I believe that I think I'm a little bit better with people and being able to get them to relate and open up and feel comfortable. And I think that being better with people sometimes will get you further than just having the education behind it, because you need to be around someone every single, 3 times a week for an hour. You have to like them.
Yeah.
And you have to feel like good with them. You don't want just, some scientists like spitting information at you.
You're almost a therapist at some point, some level.
Yeah, totally.
Like you need to know people.
Reinhard is literally the smartest trainer I've ever come across in my life. And I've met so many trainers, and I will praise him until the end. But he's not someone that I want to, tell my deep, he's not someone that I want to show up when I'm having a bad day, just because he's very hard on people.
Right.
And has a very mental, push through, but keep going. And I think sometimes when, for example, when my clients show up, I'm like, what's the vibe today? How are you feeling? You get enough sleep? What's going on with you emotionally? What's going on mentally? I have a client whose husband's currently cheating on her. I'm not obviously saying who. I have multiple clients, by the way. So don't, if you're listening to this.
It's not just one.
It's not just one, I promise you. Yeah. And mentally what that workout does for them is just, besides physical, is 10 times better. But they say to me, I'm going through a hard time, and this is the best part of my week is having this 1 hour with you. And that's the best gift I can give to someone. You know what I mean? Just giving that
back. It's a level of safety too.
Yeah.
And trust.
Yeah.
Because I can think back to the best trainer I've ever been around. He's passed away. He was a strength coach in college. But there was something about him that connected just to people in a different way.
Yeah.
And it was you felt safe to let out your authentic feelings around him.
Yeah.
So if you had a really bad day and your girl broke your heart or whatever, and you're working out and you're in the corner and you're dropping F-bomb after F-bomb and going nuts, he would walk over and be like,
yep,
good.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
And nothing more. You shouldn't do that. Don't do that. Don't do this. This isn't correct. He
he allows you to be yourself.
And you
show
need
up as
that.
yourself.
We need that.
Yeah.
And if you're around people that I'm not saying you should never get checked.
Yeah.
Right? You need to get checked from time to time.
For sure.
But you also need to be around people that you don't have to show up with a face on.
Yeah, totally.
I do that enough.
Yep.
But I want to my innermost circle.
You want to be yourself. Totally.
I want to go to them and be look, bro.
I'm having a shit day and not feel like you're being negative or being a passive. You just want to just be your authentic self and not have to be everything's fine, even if it's not, So
for sure.
Totally understand that. Yeah.
Well, I think that authenticity piece is I would honestly say that might be one of the biggest contributors to your success.
So true.
Because
so true.
What you see is what you get. This is what you get.
I've always been like that. I'm telling you, I'm not the smartest trainer in the room, but whatever you're going through, I can probably relate to it. And we're gonna get through it together. And that's the main thing. And I've had people that I've been training. Susan Ho, one amazing client. She's one of the girls that bops around, is so consistent, never misses a beat. She is incredible. No matter what she's going through, she shows up. And I've been training her for almost 10 years now. So there are clients, as long as you build relationships with people, that's the most important part. So you can, like I said, you can be the best trainer in the room, but if you're not building a relationship with that person, it's just business, that 1 hour and you're out, they're not going to be your client for that long. You know what I mean? Like I said, I've had clients that I've been training from my New York days, which is over 5 years ago now, 6 years ago, and I still train them to this day. So
yeah, and you don't achieve that level of success though. I think without authenticity is obviously really critical, but I think trust is such a big thing.
Yeah. Totally.
You're probably holding more secrets than most people, right?
You'd be surprised. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The amount of NDAs I had to sign too. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's part of it. And I'm not here for clickbait or anything like that. And I think that it's so important for people to hear and understand that find someone you can share with.
Yep.
You can be open with. You just need one. You need one person that you can go to and just
show up as yourself.
Dump your shit. I had a guy I worked with for a long time, and I still love him, and I think he's probably still this person. But I could go to him and be like, "This is exactly what's going on," and he could hear me, and then he could offer me support.
And no judgments.
No judgment.
Yeah.
The problem today is every story that somebody tells somebody is half-assed.
Yeah.
It's not the whole truth.
Yeah.
So don't expect full support and full help
with half-assed story. Yeah.
Unless you're willing to give full truth.
So true.
And I think that that's another hard lesson learned, but that's where the authenticity piece comes in. And I think that's why you have the success you have, is because no one is going to do or act or promote themselves on social media the way that you do unless it's real.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's not, it's just, that's who you are.
Yeah. Like today, I literally did a post about all the work that I get done to my face because I never want a girl coming to my page being like, oh my God, she's born naturally pretty. No, but I was ugly. I'm so ugly. I was born so goddamn ugly. I had to get so much work done to look like this. I promise you. So I never want a girl like, because I've gone to girls' pages and I'm like, wow, how is this? Like, how does she look like this? Like, it's like a science experiment. Like, you are so beautiful. You know what I mean? So I never want someone to like look at my page and like feel like shitty about themselves. So I'm always just like, yep, tits are fake, nose is fake, lips are fake. These are my eyelashes. I don't wear makeup. I actually don't wear makeup, but I do have eyelash extensions on at all times. My hair is not naturally blonde. It's brunette, but I'm just I keep it real. I don't like the influencers that are like, I didn't get any work done. Like, girl, I know who your surgeon is. Yeah. I've seen his pictures on his post on his Instagram tagging you. You just removed yourself from the tag. Come on, like, you know, so I pride myself in being very real. And I think when you show up as yourself and don't pretend to be anyone else, people will see that and real recognizes real. And it also will allow people to be more comfortable and vulnerable in front of you if they think you're being authentic and your real self, you know?
Yeah. And I think what's really cool about the fitness influencing space from a male's perspective, there's women now that do posts like, hey, like this is what an angle can do.
Yep. I love that. Yeah.
And I think that that's so important because if women or young girls or whoever growing up sees like the perfect angle every time, she's comparing her worst angle to that perfect angle.
Totally. I've done that myself.
And it's fucking her up.
Yep.
Like it's creating a lot of issues.
Yep.
So I love the post now where it's like, this is the difference.
Yeah.
It looks like this. It looks
like
this.
This is me sucking in. This is me like relax. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I love that. Especially like girls that I've looked up to in the past, like girls that do that. I love that when they do that. Like this girl, Michaela, who I've been following, this girl, Ashley Flores, that I've been following. They both have done that recently. And I commend them so much for showing up, being real, and being one of the influencers where you're not like just posting your ass on Instagram, like hoping to get likes for your booty workout. Like you're genuinely wanting to give back to people and promote healthy and good vibes, positive energy, and genuinely want other people to be doing well. So, and I think you can really like gauge people's intentions by their page. You know what I mean? Seeing like how much stuff they're actually just trying to sell or how much stuff they're just being authentic about and just being real and sharing their story. So
I think that's a big transition we're in right now too with social media. People are starting to get called out. Like maybe COVID was part of this, I'm not sure. But like there were so many fitness influencers that weren't fit.
Yep.
They just genetically blessed. And that happens.
Yep, totally.
But like you get in a workout with them and you're like, what? Like,
yeah. And you're like, what is this?
How am I?
Yeah.
How am I smoking them?
Totally. Yeah.
Right? Look at me.
Yeah.
Look at them.
They genetically look like that. Yeah.
And it's like, I think that now, like, especially like now you hear hybrid athlete and all this stuff. There are people out there, what I tell people, like there are people out there that don't look like they don't have 12-pack abs.
Yeah, that's like the Olympics this year. You see these girls that are like, have completely different bodies. They would smoke me in a workout. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And I might look more fit than them, but I'm actually not. Like these girls are running, can't run the way these girls do. You know, it's crazy. But
I think that's what people need to understand is like, there's different types of fitness.
Oh, for sure.
There's performance and there's aesthetics and there's all these different things. I think that what's really important though for people that are out there, like they need to understand if you go to someone's page and like they look amazing and they look perfect and it's so great and you're comparing yourself to them, understand that like what you're seeing isn't necessarily like, and what they're telling you isn't necessarily the entire truth.
No, of course not.
And like that's part of it. Like, so stop. I think people need to stop associating social media with like real life.
Also, I really, you know the influencer Goob, his name is Goob, or Goob. He's incredible. I want to give a quick shout out to him because what he does is he's into the calling out bullshit culture. So like all these fitness influencers that have a big following, like over 200,000, 500,000, a million followers, he will take their edited pictures and post about it. Be like, this girl is selling you her booty program, but this is Photoshop. And like he calls them out and I love that. And I think that is so healthy because I remember when he started following me, I was like, I was pumped and I was like, go through my shit because I know you're not going to find a single thing edited, like go ahead, because that's his thing. He goes through men and women both. And now actually he's turning it over more now to catching like child predators, which is awesome. So he's actually using his platform for good. And I think a lot of people shit on him because they're like, oh, you're bringing down girls. Like, no, you're calling out bullshit. And
Yeah.
like, that's what I appreciate and I commend that. So
The bullshit's what's hurting women.
exactly. So now he has this page where he's exposing that and people are hating on him for that, which I think is mental because, you know, he's doing God's work, in my opinion. You
For
know,
sure.
he's exposing the truth and giving people like, you know, a reality check. Like the person that you're crying over not looking like doesn't even look like that herself either,
No.
you know? So
Well, you see them in public like that because in Austin, it's a big enough city where like the people that have a big presence online, like you will see them out.
oh, for sure. Yeah.
And then you'll be like,
Except
what the
me.
fuck? Like that don't, and then you go on your
Yeah.
phone, like go to their page.
yeah.
Like,
You're like, doesn't look like you.
like,
yeah.
no.
Exactly.
And I don't want that to ever happen to me.
Exactly.
Like I want it to be
exactly.
like, oh, yep, that's him.
I'd rather people be like, oh my God, she's actually like a lot hotter than I thought she was going to be online. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I'd
Yeah.
so much rather like pull up in person and be like, oh, okay, cool. She's
I suppose you just got to
fitter than
keep
I
it
thought.
real.
Yeah, totally.
Just keep it real.
Totally.
All right. I feel like we could probably talk for another 3 hours.
Totally. Yeah.
And maybe we'll do it again. Because I think this conversation is going to help a lot of people. And I think
Yeah.
it's one of those conversations that needs to happen. It's open, it's honest, it's
Mhm.
vulnerable, it's real. People need to hear that. But I know that you are a busy woman and you have a client.
Actually
and-
canceled, but it's okay.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm fine.
I got
All right. But it's fine.
Yeah, but I think,
Yeah.
but I remembered you telling me that
Yeah,
because I'm
You
like,
did, yeah.
I'm like,
I
yep,
usually
I'll
am
watch.
busy. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you.
I was
It's
like,
very
I will
sweet.
watch, I will pay attention because I know what that's
appreciate that.
like.
Yeah.
And you don't like people that have a busy life or a busy schedule. Like I don't expect the world from people.
Yeah.
I just expect you.
To show up if you say you're going to show up.
Yeah,
Yeah. Do what you're going to do.
That's all.
I would love for our next topic, if we can, to talk about love addiction because I think
Okay.
that's not something that anyone talks about. And I went to a meeting last year and someone went on stage and he's like, I realize that I'm a love addict too. And I was like,
Shit. Yeah.
what? Me too. Like I didn't I was like, fuck. Like I didn't know that was a thing, but fuck, I think I am too. And it was crazy. Because obviously sex addiction is different than like a love addiction. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
For sure.
I think that that's just something that's not ever like really talked about. And I think that'd be really cool to deep dive into one day. But
No, I'd love that. I'd
yeah,
love
I think
that.
that'd be so cool.
I can only imagine where that'll spiral to because the reasons people seek love are so different.
Yeah.
And like honestly, and we'll have an episode on this actually. But what I will say is the type of love that I sought for a long time was the type of love that I'd have been exposed to.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that wasn't necessarily the healthiest kind of love.
Wow. What you just said hit and just like clicked so hard. I'm like, whoa, that's like exactly kind of,
Yeah.
like I was going after what I was missing, the type
Yeah.
of love that I was missing. Wow. When you just said that just hit so hard. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that makes so much sense. Okay. Keep going. Sorry.
You know, you're good. So I think
Wow.
we'll definitely do an episode on that.
Yeah, we should. That'd be great.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap for today.
Sounds good.
I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you being here. I love the conversation and we'll do it again.
Yeah, it was awesome. Sorry if I was all over the place in the beginning.
You're
I
great.
got so nervous in the beginning. And then once I feel comfortable with someone, I calm down. And then
Yeah.
it's a little bit more organized. ADD thoughts are still in there, but
Yeah.
a little bit more organized.
The squirrel brain is, I have it too.
Yeah.
I'll be like in the middle of we'll be talking about something
Yeah.
and I'll just completely,
Black. Yeah.
yeah, like
Totally.
we're over here now.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? I'm
totally.
like, I can't say that. These people are going to think I'm nuts, but that's true and that happens. So no, I appreciate you being honest about it. But yeah, we'll wrap it.
Cool. Sounds
Definitely tune in, stay tuned because we'll have another one.
good. Cool.
But appreciate everybody for tuning in and we'll see you on the next episode.
Yay. Love that.
Yeah.
Cut.
Cut.
And cut.